What's up, everybody? Welcome to Boo TV. Appreciate you for stepping in. If you're new, welcome. If you're a regular, I miss you, man. I miss you. Welcome back. Back with another one from the Larry Bird universe. This one, a recommendation from none other than Lebron. Said, "Hey, Boo. Basketball Universe had just released a video comparing all players that Larry Legend went up against out of the NBA 75th anniversary 75 greatest players list from 2021. There were a few little surprises for me, a couple older players I did not know that Bird had even played against. I thought that was cool. It's a nice, concise list with quick breakdowns." Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the G-Ma out there, Bridget Hockney. Appreciate you. Last week, pushed out another Cash App donation to me. You really didn't have to, but I definitely appreciate it. Pushed out a very generous $20. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And told me to keep on going. Salute to you. I will. It is people like you that keep giving me the encouragement and the energy and power to keep doing what I do, man. And I appreciate it. It means a lot. Money or no money, it means a lot, but I definitely appreciate the contribution and the monetary contribution as well. So much love to you, Bridget. Much love. This video is about 30 minutes long, so sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? Bird gang, Bird gang.
Larry Bird has faced 31 of the NBA's top 75 players who were selected at the 75th anniversary in 2022. I went through every single one of those matchups in the regular season and in the playoffs. What I found will shock you. What was his record?
That's crazy. He played 40-something% of the top 75 players in league history. If that doesn't tell you a bit about the competition, I don't know what does.
Against each player. Which players did he dominate? Which ones got the best of him? Let's go down memory lane and appreciate the greats of the past. Going in alphabetical order, we're going to start with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is the best big man that he's ever faced. In the regular season, he had an 8-10 record. Here are their combined averages. It should come as no surprise that Kareem won the scoring battle, but Larry Bird was able to out-rebound the 7-foot giant. There was even a game in 1981.
If you would have told me, now I know Bird was a hell of a rebounder, but if you would have told me Bird out-rebounded Kareem in those matches, wow, interesting.
Where he pulled down 21 rebounds. He also had 36 points on 64% shooting, 6 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. But Kareem showcased his dominance in 1982. In the Boston Garden, he had 35 points on 80% shooting, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. In the playoffs, these two had some intense battles. Larry had an 8-11 record in the playoffs, giving him an overall record of 16-22. The numbers prove that these were phenomenal finals performers. They each bumped their numbers up, and they even won finals MVPs. In 1984, Larry Legend proved that he was different. In the infamous Heat game, he had 34 points on 75% shooting, while also pulling down 17 rebounds. Under those circumstances, he had the most efficient shooting performance of his playoff career.
You know what Kawhi Leonard says? Board man gets paid. Board man gets paid. I've always been big on rebounding, and I will always be big on rebounding. Bird was a sensational rebounder, man. And, the head-to-head comparison is very interesting, even though they don't play the same positions. But Bird was always in there mixing it in with the Giants, getting rough, getting nasty with them. Impressive stuff.
While Kareem shot 28% from the field. But the captain got his payback in the following year. In Game 5, he had 36 points on 57% shooting, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. There's no question that everyone's eyes were on the matchup of Bird and Magic, but we don't want to forget how interesting this matchup was. The next player is one of his beloved teammates, Tiny Archibald. They were teammates for 4 years, and they won a title together. But they faced each other one time in the 1983-84 season when Tiny was playing with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Boston Celtics won that game. This was his last year before retiring, which explains why his numbers were low.
Of course.
We move on to Charles Barkley. Believe it or not, this is one of the 5 players that he's faced the most in this list. They faced each other 30 times in the regular season. Bird has a record of 17 and 13. A lot of their matchups came in the back end of Larry's prime, which explains the moderate scoring numbers.
Right.
But his impact goes far beyond that, as the numbers indicate. There were 3 times that he posted a triple-double against him. In 1987, he was 1 point away from having a 40-point triple-double. He also had 2 40-point games against him. One of them came in 1990. Even though his best days were behind him, he was always a threat to give you 40. Sir Charles' biggest strength was rebounding.
Come on, Chuck. Hands down, hand down, man down, Chuck. You got to put a hand up. It still blows my mind that Charles Barkley has Larry Bird and Magic Johnson outside of his personal top 10 of all time. I'll never understand it, but okay. To each their own, I guess. I can't see it.
There's one game in 1986 where he pulled down 21 rebounds. 11 of them were on the offensive end.
Chuck?
He was also able to give him a 40-point performance early in the 1987-88 season.
Round mound to rebound.
In the playoffs, they faced off once. In the 1985 Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics won 4-1. That gives them an overall record of 21 and 14. Barkley was a rookie, and Larry was playing through several injuries. That explains the low numbers and lack of efficiency. But Bird was fantastic on defense. Let's not forget the game-saving steal in Game 5 that sent the Celtics to the finals. Now, let's bring in Rick Barry. These are 2 of the greatest all-around players at their position, but this one wasn't close one bit. Larry has a record of 5-0. All 5 matchups came in Bird's rookie season and Barry's last year of his career. But we did get a glimpse of what could have happened if they played each other during their prime years. In their 4th matchup, Rick had 23 points on 8 of 11 shooting. Larry had 20 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. They also faced each other in the playoffs that season. The Celtics swept the Rockets, which gives Bird an overall record of 9-0. This marked the end of a legendary career, while the other was getting his first taste of playoff success.
Yep.
The next player is Boston Celtics legend Dave Cowens. They were teammates for 1 year in his rookie season. He retired and then came back to play briefly for the Milwaukee Bucks in the 1982-83 season. They faced each other twice, and they both were able to beat each other. This was not a fair individual matchup, but the Big Red still knew how to clean the glass at his advanced age. We move on to the high-flying Clyde Drexler. They faced each other during a span of 9 seasons. Larry has a record of 10-6, and he was absolutely dominant against him. Those are numbers that will put just about anyone to shame.
32.7 points per game against Clyde the Glide.
There were 7 games in which he scored over 40 points.
Jeez.
But that's not the most impressive part. In 2 of those games, he also posted a triple-double. In his final season, he had 49 points on 54% shooting, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, and 4 steals. That was a game that went to double overtime, and Clyde Drexler also had an impressive all-around
49 in his final season?
He had 41 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. In 1986, he torched the Blazers with 47 points on 62% shooting, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists. That was the game where nearly half of his field goals were shot with his left hand, and he made the game-winning shot. Speaking of clutch moments, we have this buzzer beater in 1985.
Pretty sure I have this play on my Larry Bird mixtape, Live and Learn. It is a extremely difficult shot. I don't think some people realize how tough of a shot that is. That's a tough bucket.
He ended that game with 48 points on 60% shooting, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. We move from one high flyer to another, Julius Erving. This is his biggest rival, not named Magic Johnson, and they certainly had some intense battles.
Class act.
Out of their 44 regular season matchups, Larry has a record of 23-21. With the Sixers and Celtics,
that Boston-Philly rivalry was something special. I wish I was around to witness it live.
Squared off. It was usually a defensive battle, but there were also some noteworthy moments. Bird had a total of 4 triple-doubles against him. There was also one game in his second season when he posted 36 points and 21 rebounds.
Dr. J was special.
This was their most entertaining individual matchup. On the other side, Dr. J had 45 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 3 steals. Then, early in the 1984-85 season, Bird gave him 42 points on 73% shooting. He played and talked a good game, so much so that the doctor had to give him a few punches. In the playoffs, they faced each other 4 times. They each won 2 series, and their record was 12-12. That gives Larry an overall record of 35-33. This is why their matchups were so entertaining. It was truly a toss-up every time they played each other. The numbers indicate how intense the battles were. They were not as efficient as they usually are. You can't blame them when 2 of their series go to 7 games. But Bird had the most classic moment in Game 7 of the 1981 Eastern Conference Finals. He made this iconic shot that eventually won the game and sent Boston to the finals. The next player is Patrick Ewing. The New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics used to be one of the biggest rivals in the NBA. But this one wasn't really close. He has a record of 17-4 against him. Larry was usually on the winning end, but their individual matchup was pretty close. Bird, once again, had exceptional all-around numbers. There were even 3 times when he posted a triple-double. Then, in 1988, Larry had his best game. He had 41 points on 57% shooting, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. If we're talking impressive performances, Patrick Ewing wins this round. In 1990, he exploded for 51 points on 69% shooting and 18 rebounds. It was his career high. They faced each other twice in the playoffs, and Larry has a record of 5-4, giving him an overall record of 22-8.
Patrick Ewing was a special player. I don't think he gets enough recognition as he should because he never won a championship out there with the Knickerbockers, and all the times he was on the wrong end of a Jordan highlight, probably 100 times, but Patrick Ewing was a special, special player, man. Great throwback big, man.
In Patrick's playoff debut, the Celtics crushed them in the 1988 first-round series. But in 1990, he got his payback. After Boston went up 2-0 in the series, the Knicks stormed back to win the next 3 games. In Game 4, he arguably had the best game of his playoff career. He posted 44 points on 75% shooting, 13 rebounds, 7 steals, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. For some reason, Larry Bird brought out the best in him. We go from one Knicks legend to another, Walt Frazier.
Whoa.
But this came when he was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They played each other twice, and Bird beat him both times. This was Walt's final season, and the numbers show that he wasn't anywhere near the same player. The next player is George Gervin. This was the best scorer in the early 80s, but he couldn't score nearly enough to beat him. Larry has a record of 18-3 against the Iceman. The Celtics were too deep, and Bird was too good for the Spurs to outscore them. There were 3 games where he posted a triple-double. His best performance came early in the 1983-84 season. He recorded 38 points on 67% shooting, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. But there was one game where George had a monster night. In 1981, he had 49 points on 55% shooting. Despite his efforts, the Celtics still won that game by 12 points.
A lot of people compare Kevin Durant to George Gervin. What do you guys think about that?
The only time they faced in the playoffs came in 1986. He only played 2 games and played a total of 11 minutes. It was his last time playing an NBA game. He has an overall record of 20-3 against them. We move on to the legend from the 70s, Elvin Hayes. They faced each other 17 times, and Larry has a record of 12-5. In the early 80s, the Washington Bullets were a tough defensive team, and they did a great job of somewhat containing him during some of their matchups. His highest scoring game against Elvin came in his rookie season when he scored 33 points.
I could watch that play 100 times, from the pass all the way down to Kevin McHale with the sweet footwork, some of the best footwork we've ever seen in NBA history. Back to the basket, fade away, flush. Beautiful.
Points. But he shot 41% from the field. He also added 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. But the Big E gave a vintage performance. He had 35 points, 17 rebounds,
Ooh.
and 2 blocks. It was a classic matchup between two highly respected players, but nothing compares to the next player. That's Magic Johnson. This is the biggest rivalry in NBA history. They had so many legendary battles. They helped elevate the game to what it is today. But who receives bragging rights here? Out of their 18 regular season matchups, Larry has a record of 7-11. The numbers show that they both impacted the game differently. They both scored at a similar rate. One focused more on getting others involved, and the other was a great rebounder. Larry had 1 triple-double against him. He also posted 3 games where he scored over 30 points. I would say his best game came in 1983 when he had 32 points on 57% shooting, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals. On the other hand, Magic also posted 1 triple-double. There were 4 games in which he scored over 30 points. But the game that screams Magic...
That bucket there, boy. Oh, man, that is ridiculous, Magic. That is... Gosh, ridiculous bucket, brother.
Magic came in 1989. He had 16 points, 21 assists, 6 rebounds, and 6 steals. It was always a treat when they faced in the regular season, but the playoffs are where they made history. As we saw with Kareem, Bird has an 8-11 record against him in the playoffs, giving him an overall record of 15-22. Magic's numbers look stupendous along with Larry's. It's no wonder they brought so many fans to watch the battle for the title.
Right, so that's the playoffs. As expected. Yep. Magic playing those passing lanes, huh? 2 steals a game. Turnovers.
Remember at Game 4 of the 1984 Finals when Bird made this game-winning shot in overtime? Magic also had a clutch moment in Game 4 of the 1987 Finals. The next player needs no introduction. Michael Jordan. This was a player that Larry called
I know it's coming. Tell me about the times he swept Mike. I know it's coming. Still. Michael! All the way from North Carolina. All right, let me calm down. All right.
God during their matchup in the 1986 playoffs. Despite their individual greatness, Larry still had the upper hand. He has a 17-11 record against him.
I thought Larry's record was better than that. I didn't think Mike got 11 games on him throughout their career. I have to imagine a lot of those came later in Larry's career when the Bulls were getting better. Larry was aging and injuries were taking its toll, but that would just be my guess without looking at the data.
He knew he wasn't going to win the scoring battle most of the time, but he showed him the importance of doing everything else to win games. If we include the playoffs, there were 10 games where Jordan scored over 40 points against him. In the regular season, he had 2 50-point games. Early in the 1988-89 season, he had one of his best games against him. He posted 52 points on 55% shooting and 9 steals. But Larry Legend proved that he could score with the best of them. He had 2 40-point games against him. His best performance came in 1988. He had 44 points on 66% shooting, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. They faced each other twice in the playoffs. Bird went undefeated and went 6-0 against him. That gives him an overall record of 23-11. Even though Michael nearly averaged 40 points per game and had the highest scoring game in
playoffs, yeah. Mike is freaking relentless assassin. Good Lord. Oh, Larry damn near averaged a triple-double. 27, 8.5, 9. Not too shabby. Under 3 turnovers. Those are gaudy stats by both of these gentlemen.
Playoff history in 1986, when he has 63 points in the Boston Garden. his team simply wasn't good enough. But when Larry's nearly averaging a triple-double for the two series, there's not much you can do to beat him. The next player is the number 3 scorer in the NBA, Karl Malone. Out of the 11 times they face each other, Larry Bird has a record of 8-3 against him. The Utah Jazz were not strong enough to beat a team like the Celtics consistently, but the numbers show that the mailman was always ready to play. Nothing was better when they faced each other early in the 1989-90 season. Malone went for 39 points on 55% shooting, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals.
Karl Malone was a freaking titan, dude. That is the definition of country strong. Karl Malone. Golly.
Larry responded with 40 points on 53% shooting, 8
Boy,
rebounds,
Larry Bird's jumper
5
was
assists,
sweet.
and 2 steals. That helped the Celtics win by 4 points against his up-and-coming team. We move on to the player he's faced the most in this list, Moses Malone. They have faced each other a total of 66 times, including the playoffs. In the regular season, Larry has a 32-19 record against him. He knew that he needed to focus more on rebounding every time he faced
Moses. I'm sure y'all know what movie that's from. I know some old school film.
the chairman of the boards. It's no surprise.
One of the greatest nicknames in NBA history. I stand by that. Chairman of the boards, along with his running mate, Sec Def, Bobby Jones.
That he averaged 10 rebounds per game while also scoring and passing at a high rate. He had 3 triple-doubles against him. As far as scoring, there were 4 times that he scored over 40 points. His best performance came in 1989 when Moses played for the Hawks. He had 50 points on 76% shooting, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. As far as Moses, he had 2 games where he pulled down over 20 rebounds. That includes his outrageous output in 1984. He had 27 rebounds. 15 of them were on the offensive end. He also added 32 points. In the playoffs, they faced each other 3 times. Larry has a 12-3 record, giving him an overall record of 44-22. The numbers indicate just how intense and physical those battles were. The 1981 finals were the perfect example of that. Their efficiency in scoring went down. The real battle was on the block. There was one game where Moses recorded over 20 rebounds. Believe it or not, there were 2 times that Bird had 21 rebounds against Malone in the playoffs. The next player is Pete Maravich. They only faced each other once before they became teammates for a brief period. In their one matchup, the Celtics beat the New Orleans Jazz. These were the numbers that they posted against each other. We go from one 70s legend to
I'm actually surprised. I thought Pete was going to have like a 4 or 5 point, 6 point game. I'm actually surprised he put up that many points.
The player is Bob McAdoo. During the 13 matchups in the regular season, Bob played.
Again, I remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were comparing Kevin Garnett to Bob McAdoo.
Played for 4 different teams. It didn't matter what jersey he was wearing. Larry dominated. He had a 10-3 record against him. The numbers indicate that the Big Mac's best playing days were behind him, but there was one game where they had a nice back and forth battle. In 1980, Bob had 32 points on 57% shooting, along with 10 rebounds. But Bird had 41 points on 59% shooting, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Go ahead,
the Celtics beat the Pistons by 3 points. In the playoffs, they faced each other in the finals twice. Bob was not available for all 7 games of the 1984 series, which is why the record is 5-7. That gives him an overall record of 15-10. Even while coming off the bench, McAdoo was able to average in double figures for the Lakers. We move on to the greatest shooter he's ever faced,
role player at
Reggie
that point.
Miller. How did he perform against a player he eventually coached?
With that ugly ass jump shot that was always going in. He'd like cross his hands when he shoot like that.
He went 9-6 against him. Although the majority of their matchups came with
Look, Reggie looked just like his sister Cheryl Miller. Boy, do they look alike. It's uncanny.
Bird was past his prime. He was still able to put up numbers. As far as the 3-point battle, we can see that Reggie made more and was more efficient. but Larry gave him the ultimate welcome to the NBA moment during their first matchup. Bird gave him 42 points on 63% shooting, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Then in 1991, he tied his career high in three-pointers made. He went 7 out of 10. Later that year, they faced each other in the first round. The Celtics won the entertaining series 3-2. That gives them an overall record of 12-8. We can see that Reggie went toe-to-toe with him in the scoring department. Bird was in his last leg, but he gave the NBA world one last classic playoff moment in Game 5. He had 32 points on 63% shooting, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. He did all that while playing through a concussion that he suffered in the second quarter. The next player is the Hall of Fame legend, Earl Monroe.
That is still that play where he got the concussion. That is hard to watch. That is hard to watch, boy. If that video, actually, how those whole events played out, when you see that hit he took, when you see it, all because of his passion to basically secure possession. And to come back out on the court and play, you will never, ever see a player do something like that today. Today, that guy's not coming back out. Either he's physically not able to, he doesn't want to, or the league won't allow him to come back out because of concussion protocols. Like, the league has changed a lot, but I tell you what. And for the man to come out and take over the game and win the game and dominate, tell you, man, that stuff only legends are made of.
They faced each other 4 times during Bird's rookie season. The Celtics won all 4 games. The numbers show that Earl the Pearl was indeed on his way out. But in their last matchup, he gave one of his last vintage performances. He had 25 points while shooting 10 of 12 from the field. Larry responded by posting 23 points and 13 rebounds, although he only shot 32% from the field. The next player is Hakeem Olajuwon. This is one of the greatest players that he's ever faced. But this one might be the most surprising out of all the players. They faced each other 10 times, and Bird went 9-1 against him.
Wow.
As you can see from the numbers, the Celtics played him perfectly nearly every time. He averaged a low 41% from the field. Meanwhile, Larry posted incredibly dominant numbers. There were 2 times that he scored over 40 points. In 1995, he went for 48 points on 53% shooting, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. They also faced each other in the 1986 finals. The Celtics won 4-2, giving him an overall record of 13-3. The numbers are much more to Hakeem's standards, and he had himself a fine series, while Larry was simply all over the floor. He impacted the game in every single facet.
Looks like he, again, almost averaged a triple-double if I was looking at that correctly. Let me see. Yeah, 24, 9.5, 9.7. You almost had it, Bird. You almost had it.
Simply all over the floor. He impacted the game in every single facet. Simply put, it was as perfect as a player can get from playing perfect basketball on the biggest stage.
Now, if Larry was a stat padder and was watching his stats, he would... Excuse me. Dude, this has been happening all day. I've been swallowing down the wrong pipe. I don't know. I just go through these stupid phases every now and then. Anyway, if Larry's a guy that cared about his stats and was tracking them during the game, and I don't really think anybody did that back then, but yeah, he would have averaged that triple-double. But this is just him just playing the game the right way.
We move on to the legendary Celtics big man, Robert Parrish. They faced each other twice during Bird's rookie year. The Celtics won both games. The numbers might not pop out from the screen, but it was enough to grab the attention of Red Auerbach.
Yep.
They later made plenty of history together. Another player that you might have forgotten that he played against was Gary Payton. They faced each other 4 times, and Bird went undefeated. The numbers are very lopsided. Gary Payton wasn't the glove just yet, as it took him a few years before he started his Hall of Fame trajectory. The next player is the Chicago Bulls legend, Scottie Pippen. In their 14 matchups, Larry went 6-8 against them. Everyone's attention was surely on Bird and MJ, but the numbers proved that Scotty was a missing piece that made the Bulls so dangerous. In 1991, he even gave his best Larry Bird impression. He had 35 points on 50% shooting, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. He even went 3 of 4 from the 3. But Bird responded with a huge game himself. He had 34 points on 42% shooting, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. The Celtics won by 3 points in a double overtime classic.
That was a classic game.
We move on to the Admiral, David Robinson. They faced each other 3 times. And
again, a very underrated big man, That man was a monster. Who knows? If it wasn't for Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson probably has a Finals MVP and a championship before Tim Duncan comes around.
Bird went 2-1 against him. The numbers show that the Spurs gave Larry a lot of problems on defense, as he averaged 35% for those 3 games. David's inside presence surely had something to do with that. In their first matchup, he had 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 blocks. He was a monster right from the start. Speaking of defensive legends, we move on to Dennis Rodman. Once the bad boy Pistons drafted him, they gave Boston so many problems in more ways than one. In the regular season, Larry went 9-6 against them. His numbers are up to par with Larry's normal production. Furthermore, the numbers remind us that he was more of a scoring threat during this time of his career. He certainly had Larry's respect on defense, as there were only 3 times that he scored over 30 points. His best performance came in 1990 when he had 33 points on 52% shooting, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 blocks. On the other hand, Rodman had one of his best games in 1992. He pulled down 25 rebounds while scoring over 10 points. In the playoffs, they faced each other 3 times. Bird has a record of 8-10, giving him an overall record of 17-16. The numbers show how tough the Pistons were on defense, as he averaged 42% with Dennis on the roster. But they had no answers for him in Game 7 of the 1987 Conference Finals. That's when he had 37 points on 54% shooting, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 blocks. The next player is the passing legend, John Stockton. They faced each other 13 times, and Larry went 10-3 against him. Let's not forget that Stockton was drafted a year before his running mate was, and Bird took full advantage. In his rookie season, he had one of his greatest performances. He had 30 points on 59% shooting, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 9 steals, and 2 blocks in just 33 minutes of play. He famously sat out the fourth quarter and chose not to re-enter because he had done enough damage. For Stockton, there were 5 games where he had over 17 assists.
Has there ever been another player in league history to record 9 steals through 3 quarters? Either 9 through 3 or 9 through, what did he say, 30-something minutes? Whatever that was. I think he said 33. Don't quote me on that. Has there ever been another player to record those many steals through 3 quarters or through at least that amount of time that Bird did? That is insane. Sometimes, man, I just wish the guy would have played that fourth quarter. Larry should have just got the steal. But that would be... that would go against everything you stand for and who you are as a person. That would be very un-Larry-like. So, staying authentic, true to himself.
In 3 of those games, he didn't commit a single turnover. We go from one point guard legend to another, Isaiah Thomas. They faced each other a total of 63 times, including the playoffs. In the regular season, Larry went 29-12 against him. Before Detroit became the bad boy Pistons, they had a tough time beating the Celtics. They had an even tougher time stopping Larry. There were 2 times that he scored over 40 points. Early in his legendary 1986 season, he posted 47 points on 55% shooting, along with 12 rebounds. In 1995, Zeke showcased why he was the game's best point guard, behind only Magic. He had 33 points on 44% shooting and 19 assists. In the playoffs, they were dead even. Larry went 11-11 against him, giving him an overall record of 40-23. There are so many classic moments in the 4 playoff series between these two teams. In 1985, Larry was in peak form. There were 2 games in that semifinal series in which he posted over 40 points.
I can't stand Isaiah Thomas. Never liked him as a player. Not really a fan of him now as a analyst or whatever he's doing, but he's definitely an all-time great. Now, question for you all in the comment section. Who's the greater all-time guard? Steph Curry or Isaiah Thomas? Let me know what you think.
While shooting over 50% and 10 rebounds. His biggest moment came at Isaiah's expense. Of course, we're talking about the famous Larry Bird steal in Game 5 of the 1987 Conference Final.
I actually thought they were going to show this with Dennis Rodman, but it would make sense that they would show it with IT.
Series. But Isaiah made up for that in Game 1 of the 1988 Conference Finals. He had 35 points on 63% shooting and 12 assists. Next player is the Hall of Fame big man, Wes Unseld. They faced each other 12 times during Bird's first 2 seasons. He went 9-3 against him. Bird's numbers look similar to what we saw with Elvin Hayes. That front line gave so many players problems. Unseld was not scoring much during this time of his career, but there was one game where he had a vintage performance. In Bird's rookie year, he gave the Celtics 17 points, 19 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. We move on to another legendary center, Bill Walton. Before they became teammates, they faced each other 4 times during Bill's time with the Clippers. Larry went 2-2 against him. Even with all the injuries Bill was playing through, he was still able to play productively. There was even one game in the 1983-84 season where he looked like the Portland Blazers version. He had 22 points on 71% shooting.
One of the greatest what-ifs in NBA history. Man, I wish that man would have stayed healthy. I really do. What a pickup. What a pickup for the Boston Celtics. And I love the story about how he got picked up on the team and his conversations with the doctors and Red. Like, just a beautiful story. He basically said, I don't give a... He's like, damn what the doctors say. What do you think, Bill? What do you think? He said, Coach, I think I could play. Doctors be damned. We ain't worried about that foot. Come on board.
6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. In their last matchup, Bird had one of the most unique stat lines that you'll ever see. He had 13 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, and 3 blocks. You won't believe it, but he also had 3 fouls. We move on to the human highlight film.
Go.
Dominique Wilkins.
Still one of the most vicious dunks in NBA history. Woo, Bird, you had to be on the receiving end of that one. Dominique was a monster, boy, tearing them rims down. Woo! Look, hey, shout out to Bird for not giving a damn and doing the right thing, going for the shot contest, but golly, that's a vicious slam. I'm rewinding that one.
3 fouls. We move on to the human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins. It seemed like he made it a mission of dunking on as many Celtics players as possible. In the 42 regular season matchups, Bird went 30-12 against him.
And we know about his infamous game versus the Hawks. Larry Bird was the bird shooter, shooting them Hawks down, man.
The numbers indicate that they seem to bring out the best in each other. In Dominique's case, there
maybe even 2 infamous games.
were 4 times that he scored over 40 points. That includes what he did in their entertaining 1987 matchup. He had 54 points on 56% shooting, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists. But Larry Bird was even more impressive. There were 5 times that he scored over 40 points. That includes 2 games where he scored over 50. There's no question that his greatest game came in 1985.
Yep.
That's when he had his career high of 60 points on 61% shooting, along with 7 rebounds and 3 assists. He was so good that Dominique's teammates were high-fiving each other. They faced each other 3 times in the playoffs, and Dominique could never beat him. Larry had a 10-5 record, giving him an overall record of 40-17. When you think of their playoff battles, there is one game that comes to mind. That is Game 7 of the 1988 semifinals. Dominique had 47 points on 58% shooting, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. But Larry came alive in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
He had 20 points while going 9 of 10 from the field. We were all witnesses to what greatness is all about.
Larry was hitting every
We've reached
bucket.
the final player. That is James Worthy. This is the 4th player in this list who played for the Showtime Lakers. He was 7-9 against them in the regular season. One of the reasons the Lakers were so tough to beat was that James was scoring at that rate while being ultra efficient.
Yes.
His playoff record is the same as Magic's and Kareem's. That gives him an overall record of 15-20. When Big Game James faced Boston, he was usually ready to play. Averaging 22.2 points while shooting 58% from the field is phenomenal. If you want efficiency, there were 2 times in the 1984 finals that he shot over 80% from the field. In total, Larry Bird's record against every top 75 player that he faced in the regular season
is
321 and 176.
That's crazy.
And the playoffs is 110 and 90. That gives him an overall record of 431 and 266.
Are you going to break it down in percentages?
A 62 win percentage. Those are awesome numbers. Which player surprised you the most? Which one of these matchups were you most excited to watch back in the day? Let me know in the comments.
Unfortunately for me, I was born in 1987, so I didn't have the luxury of enjoying any of these matchups live. Unfortunately, I wish I could have seen arguably the best era in NBA basketball, the 1980s. Wish I could have witnessed it live. It seemed like a great time. A lot of great stories. Evolution of the game, especially considering where it was, prior to Magic and Larry showing up. Them, along with some other factors, brought a lot of life, positive life, into the NBA and really propelled it forward into a bright future, a bright present, and a bright future, man. Love and an interest for the game of basketball came back, became alive, and from everything I've read, from everything I've seen, it was a different vibe. It was a different energy in those 1980s, right? Throw in Michael Jordan in the mid 80s. Come on, what are we talking about? You got Magic Johnson, you got Larry Bird, you got Michael Jordan, you got Isaiah Thomas, you got Charles Barkley. You got a lot of great players playing basketball during that time. What a time to be alive, man. A lot of great basketball players. Really wish I could have witnessed that era, man. I really, really do. I felt like I got the 90s and then early 2000s. I loved that era of basketball. But then after that, the game is kind of soured. Right? So now for the rest of my life, I'm assuming that I'm going to get a shitty basketball product comparatively compared to what I came up with. My first, 15 years watching basketball. Had I got the 80s, I could have said I had the 80s behind me. I had the 90s behind me. I had the 2000s behind me. All in my Batman utility belt. I could brag about something like that, being able to witness those 3 eras. My parents didn't get that twinkle in their eyes early enough. Bad boo. Shame on me. I know. But yeah, Bird. Incredible stuff, man. Over 60% win percentage against all the top 75 players on the team. Given, there's context with that. Some of them were definitely on the down end of their career or literally walking out the door into retirement. But I would say the majority of the players that he played against seemed like they were in their prime or somewhere in their prime, but there was a handful of them that were on their way out the door. But like I said, I'm surprised Pistol Pete even had a good game as he did for that one game they played against each other before playing with Larry in his rookie year. So some of those matchups I take with a grain of salt, obviously, because if they're not playing the same position, then they're rarely guarding each other. But it's still interesting to see how they lead their teams and how they perform all together. So, but even when you try to compare Larry to the centers, I do look at rebounding. You know, Larry might not always be matched up on him unless there's a switch or, you know, a strong double team coming. We know how Larry was a great team defensive player. But the fact that he's getting in there rebounding with those bigs and getting more rebounds than a lot of those centers, I was like, wow. And when Larry getting into the paint, they're going to have to worry about him, especially if people ain't rotating like they're supposed to. So Larry Bird, the greatest small forward I have ever seen. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even get to watch the guy live. Could you imagine if I watched this guy live in the 80s? I've come to this conclusion based off a very limited amount of footage because the goddamn NBA, excuse my language, the NBA has all this footage in a vault but will not release it. Probably because they are scared that the truth will come to the light, and they don't want that for their current product. Release these tapes. Release them. It's a shame, man. You got people out here that want to watch this stuff. But even with the limited amount of video footage we have from online scalpers, I salute them. I've come to that conclusion. He's the greatest small forward I have ever seen. And if you let me get full game footage and let me watch extensive tape, I will triple, quadruple, quintuple, whatever down on that. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about it. I appreciate y'all for stepping in. Again, Bridget Hockney, thank you. Letterbo, I appreciate you. Thanks for the recommendation. All of you, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for watching this with me. Y'all are the true experts about Larry Bird. I learned from all of you all's wealth of knowledge that you share with me. So chime in on the comment section. Let me know your experience, your opinions on Bird, your opinions on the matchup, your opinions on some of the other players they mentioned. Let me know in the comment section. I do my best to get in there and chime in. Sometimes it may take a little longer than others, but I eventually get there for the most part. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. Thank you for watching. Bird Gang, stand up. Catch you on the next one. We out, baby.